What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mon Goals, sponsored by Roughneck Scarves. I'm Mike. With me is Kevin Josh. The Hounds got a much-needed 3 points from the battery, but the headlines are all about a redo in Miami. We're going to break it all down, but first,
I feel like
Victory
it's been way
Beverage
too long.
back on the board. It does feel like it's been, well, okay, now hold on. What? We had the game in Miami, which, we're getting the redo on, which we'll talk about here. But we beat Tampa right before that, right? It's only been a week. Or do you have a problem, Josh? Is that what we're?
It feels like it's been longer than that. All right, that's all I'm saying.
When you guys talked about the Tampa game, it sounded like you might be getting low on victory beverages. Are you still okay, like quantity wise?
Victory beverages.
Yeah. The Victory Brewing Victory Beverages.
Yes.
I think I have like 3 left.
Okay,
That sounds right.
So that is that like jinxing us at all? Because hopefully you're going to burn 2 more this weekend, and then first round of the playoffs. I think we need to pre-order some more now just to
I mean, I live right down the street from a beer distributor. I think I'll be fine.
Okay, all right, just make that happen, please. Don't be the reason we lose it.
This is the opportunity for the advertising corner of the Mon Goals podcast. I mean, come on,
that's right. That's right.
Victory, send us more beer.
But see, now I'm picturing you, Josh, after the Hounds win against the Battery this weekend, and we get to keep the Old Guard shield. Do you have like a strap for it, like Captain America? Like when you go to walk to the beer distributor, do you have that thing slung on your back and
the Old Guard shield is way too sharp of an object. Like there's edges on that thing that are like razors. You don't even want to hold it. It's very much a giant honking piece of metal. So
I thought you were going to say heavy, at which point I was going to give you a hard time, but sharp is legit. Like you don't want to, you don't want to cut anything with that. Speaking of Old Guard shield and all of that, obviously you guys had the massive scarf sale at the game this weekend. How did that go?
Awesome. Yeah. So we had ordered 100 Pride scarves, and we, I think, have like 19 left.
Ooh,
we're going to have them on sale. All the proceeds still go to charity. All the profits from them do. So I think we're going to have them at the watch party, which we'll talk about on Wednesday. The shortest watch party in Steel Army history. It's gonna be fun.
But Tuffy will be there. So
he said I might have to show up. He never committed to showing up. Yeah. And then also, if they don't sell out that night, we'll also have them at the next tailgate on Saturday.
Sweet. Yeah, I might need you to tuck aside one for me, and I think Laura Ellen wants one as well. But we'll handle that off air. We'll make that happen. Let's I was gonna say let's just talk, but no, let's get into the game. You were there. What was the atmosphere like? They said that this was like the closest to being sold out that Highmark has probably been all season. How was it?
The atmosphere was great. So the tailgating beforehand was hopping. It was probably the busiest tailgate we've had so far this season. And then the game itself was just fun. It was nice to see the stadium look a little bit fuller. I think there was I think it's 101. It's the section in the grandstand that's farthest to the left if you're looking at the grandstand. It was pretty sparse, but I think that's where they sell all the corporate tickets, where it's the corporations buy the tickets and they give them to their employees. And that section's usually a little bit sparse because who knows, if the people are giving them to really care, ever want to show up. So other than that one section, though, it looks like it was pretty packed.
I got to ask because Liz had a comment on the full 90, which if you haven't gone to listen to full 90, make sure you go do that, about keeping your kids away from the smoke. What happened there? Are you allowed to talk about it? Should we just...
I mean, we're allowed to talk about it. It's just, there's smoke, and the smoke is hot when it comes out of the pipe because it's smoke. So you don't want to put your hand right above the smoke or it's going to get hot. So Liz stopped that from happening, as we're supposed to do. There's only a couple of people who are allowed to let off smoke at the games. That's because we're, the responsible adults in the mayhem. And so she made sure the little kid did not put their hand down the smoke pipe.
Oh, good. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, when she said, the smoke is very hot, I was just picturing some kid like Raiders of the Lost Ark style, just like face melting. And I knew that didn't happen, but that's the extremes my mind went to. So I'm glad that everyone's okay.
Yes.
Now that you talked about your like concerns over the smoke thing, every time it goes off now and I watch the stream, I'm like, oh boy, I bet Josh is nervous. Like Danny Vitiello isn't being distracted. I thought that very vividly while watching this game.
Yeah. It's also so another fun thing with the goal celebrations. We got our train horn back up and running.
Ooh.
And I don't know if you noticed it on the stream, but that thing is loud. And it's right next to the smokestack I man. So every single time it's just like ducking down, trying to get up below this the horns. That way it's not blowing my ears out as I'm trying to light the smoke.
Sounds like it's a lot.
That's
fun.
awesome.
I mean, it's a good problem to
have. Well, that's great. Let's talk about the game. So obviously the Hounds won 2-1 against the Battery, which they had to. Like, with all the news that came out this week about the redo in Miami, which we're going to get to here in a few minutes, all of it would have been for naught if we couldn't get 3 points against the Battery. And honestly, gentlemen, I watched the first half really closely, and then I had to jump into a meeting at 8. And so I sort of had the game playing on the side, and I saw, the Battery's goal going in, and I was like, here we go. But then, Cicerone really sort of just did Cicerone's things. And that was like the quintessential Cicerone goal to bring it home 2-1. Kev, what, give me a takeaway from the game here. What were your impressions?
I thought it was a really, really good game. I mean, like I thought Charleston, all season they've been a solid team. I think the commentators kept kind of mentioning on multiple occasions that in another division, Charleston could reasonably be a playoff team. Same thing with Hartford, and they just got stuck in the division with us and Tampa and Miami and
Charlotte,
yeah. And so I thought Charleston played well. I thought we played better. 2-1 was about the right result. And I think the other thing was the entire time, I think, leading up to when Charleston scored, all I'm thinking in my mind is, okay, like, don't let in just like a stupid kind of soft goal. Like, if they're going to score legitimately. Like, and that's fine. Charleston are a good enough team to score legitimately, even like, and do something that we can't handle. It felt like a little bit of halfway in between that. We didn't defend that kind of Charleston run very well, but it was a really good shot 20 yards out. And, they created some space for themselves and fine, whatever. So I think that was the other thing where even though we didn't get a shutout, defensively, we were pretty solid. We kept them pretty quiet. We created a lot of chances. Could have been more than 2. And now I think our goals are starting to feel more and more regularly systematic. We're not scoring goals from Cicerone just blamming it in 20 yards out. We're not just scoring goals from, Kenny shooting it from 25 yards out. We have these patterns of play that feel very, like planned and coached and trained. And those are the ones that are always hardest to stop. It felt like we're kind of, I don't know. I'm trying to track my own kind of mental ride around the season. And, of course, the past few weeks hasn't been great. And I don't think we have looked particularly good. But I think this game, it showed kind of back to what we do best. I'm really happy that, we're getting to see Williamson, Cicerone, and Dixon all on the field at the same time with Kenny. Everything starts to feel like in place, and everything starts to feel settled. And I just really hope we get a home playoff game, because if we put in another performance like we did last week against Miami and Hartford,
Tampa, but yeah,
no, Miami
and Tampa, not Miami and Hartford. We play Hartford.
Wait, no, am I wrong? Sorry. Wait, seriously? We don't play Tampa at our last game of the season, do we?
No. Sorry, then I'm confused. You made it sound like the past few weeks we played Hartford. We did not.
Oh no, sorry.
We played them this weekend.
I'm mixing up my words. No, against Miami and against Hartford in the last part of in the last two
Gotcha.
games of the season. Yeah. Then yeah, I feel weird even saying this because I feel like last week I was like, no, we're done. Like, or like, we're out. Like, we're not a good playoff team. We're not playing well. And all of a sudden, this like right now, I'm saying like, yeah, we look really good. And blah, blah. So I feel like, yeah, I feel blasphemous to myself, and it's a very weird feeling. It was a very good game, and we scored some really good goals. The atmosphere was great. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like the doomsayer or anything like that, but honestly, in the Miami game and in this game, the announcers, who are typically the same people, they keep hyping on the fact that whoever gets third or fourth in the Atlantic has to go play either Louisville and Birmingham. I'm not afraid at this point. Like, I kind of feel like, who we've played thus far in the Atlantic is going to be a good test against either one of those teams. So I'm not nervous like it's going to be any sort of blowout. But I will echo what you said. I think that if you just go watch the highlights, which I didn't, I went back and watched the whole game, but it looked like the team showed up. Like, there were a number of really big plays. You had Dixon's rifle that the keeper had to save. Peters had a great header off a corner that just went off the crossbar. Vidiello had a standout save to keep us in it early. We didn't fold when it was 1-1. You look at the stats, we had 17 shots with 12 of them in the box. Like, we showed up, and like that was my biggest fear, was that you get into a game like this with everything on the line, and how does this team perform? And they showed up. So yeah. Josh, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was nervous. I mean, even after the first goal, the game was tough looking from the stands. It looked like both teams were battling, and it was so nice to see the team kind of rally after going down a goal and not seeming to fold under the pressure, and not just like sitting back, because we obviously needed this to be a win. And in the past, it kind of has felt like, it's easy to get a draw and just be okay with it for this team, or at least not like feel like they're like fighting for that win. And that was not the case this game. It was fantastic that they actually were able to pull it out, and that second goal was such a like relief to both the team and like just in the Steel Army section. It was just like, oh, okay, we can actually win this game. And especially right after getting the announcement of replaying the game on Wednesday, and you're just like, man, we went through all of this and suddenly we're gonna lose this game. It's gonna be like, well, it doesn't really matter because there's no way we're gonna be second place anyway. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a weight off our shoulders, but there's still two more games we have to, one and like a third of a game left that we have to worry about. And we need points in both those games, or there's no point. And even after getting points in both those games, it might not be for not, for getting second place. So we'll see.
Yeah. After that second goal, you could see, you mentioned sort of the release of even the players and how Cicerone ran over and jumped up with the Steel Army. I swore Shoes was just going to bear hug him and just pull him into the section, but he restrained himself. You could see him. He was right there. He was all ready for it. But no, that was awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about this game. It just felt clinical in a way that, Kevin, as you alluded to, some of the recent previous games didn't feel as clinical. And so, the fact that we have this game, the fact that we're going to talk about this Miami game here in a second, and then we have Hartford, I'm starting to wonder, you always want to go into the playoffs on a high. Is having this game in Miami going to potentially give us a little bit more of a ramp to have a little bit more of a high heading into the playoffs? You're giving me a
Well, no,
face.
we should have won it. I mean, it's just frustrating that we have to play a midweek game now and then finish it off in Hartford. A midweek game that we have to go away. I mean, I think so much of the when I like looked at our schedule and we had 7 or 8 games to go, I kind of circle, like metaphorically, I don't actually have a printout of our schedule, but I circle the last 2 games being at home being a really big thing. How that was gonna that's 2 weeks in Pittsburgh where you don't have to travel. It's 2 weeks in front of our fans. It's 2 weeks, feeling comfortable in your environment. And now we have to kind of break that up and go down to Miami, where, I mean, I mean,
Okay,
I don't know.
hold on, wait. Before you get too far into it, because we're gonna get
Yeah, I
into
still want to talk a bit more about the
yeah. All right. So what else do you have to say here about the battery? Let's
I mean,
get our closing thoughts here.
I mainly just want to talk about like the goals a bit more.
Okay.
I mean, so, like the first goal, I really loved. I mean, because like Wharton makes the late run in, like gets a shot off and hits the post, and you think play's done, right?
Well, and then Wharton like falls on the ground, like he's down and out.
Yeah, and we retain possession in the 18. Cicerone picks it up. We still have bodies in the box, and there was a moment where I was like watching it, there was an easy like pass for Cicerone to just drop it back to, I forget who it was, probably Williamson. The keeper was out kind of pressuring him, and Cicerone just takes that extra like second, which must have felt like a year, and finds a gap, thinking that at that point I thought the chance is over. Like he's dwelling too long on the ball, it's done, and he finds Wharton, and Wharton makes a good finish, and so. I mean, that goal alone, there was so much about it. The kind of bravery to keep going, the composure to find the pass, I mean, everything about it was so good. I mean, the build-up too. I mean, it's like if that would have went, that would have been an amazing goal. And so that goal alone was great. And there was other things too. I mean, I know Vitiello. I forget what time, but I try to go back and watch the highlights of every game that we talk about before we do the show. And just on the highlights, I almost forgot. Vitiello makes a huge save when it was like 1-0 still, I think, where he comes out and closes the player down, and he puts out his right hand and he blocked. That was a great save. So once again, it's not like our goalkeeper is just sitting on his hands and has to make one save and does it, and it goes in. So Vitiello felt like he was part of the action, and he's still doing his part very much. And yeah, I mean, and maybe the last thing I'll say in this little short part of comments and everything, I think we talked about it previously, where I don't know. I mean, personally, I think Cicerone now is like double or whatever. I think in this game he has like 15 or 16 goals, and I think he has 10 assists, especially with the Wharton setup. Dixon, I think got the assist for Cicerone, and now I think Dixon is at 9 goals and 9 assists. And they just how they've both played this season. I mean, for me, Cicerone is still the standout player. I mean, I'm calling this early, but he's kind of our standout player of the season for me. But Dixon, he's contributed so much, and I desperately want him to get to 10 and 10, because that feels, and they just, I don't know, round numbers and all that, and 10 and everything. But I mean, he deserves it. He had another great game again today.
Yeah.
Or past week.
I had to appreciate how I guess everybody should appreciate how the Hounds tweeted out this afternoon how Cicerone is currently 3rd in all-time goals for the Hounds, chasing Robbie Vincent. And you had Robbie Vincent on Twitter, like egging him on, like, come on, you just need a couple of hat tricks. Like, just make it happen. Let's go. And so, and it felt, we know Rob, we've talked to him. It felt genuine. Like he cares about this club, and he wants Cicerone to pass him, because that means the team's doing well. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Josh, any other thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, just a reminder that this is the Old Guard Shield game, and we kept the Shield for another year, which is fantastic.
Is this just the 2nd year in a row, or is this the 3rd?
I think it's the 3rd year in a row. Yeah, because we kept it last year, and then the year before that, I believe it was.
Where do you keep it, Josh?
Right now in the library. Like, I have a small little library room, and I just have it on top of a bookshelf that it sits. Hopefully,
like between 2 pieces of taxidermy, like it just, you have the Old Guard Shield just sitting there.
No, actually, funnily enough, there is a bottle of champagne next to it from our first playoff win in Highmark Stadium.
Oh man!
After the game, we all like a lot of the Steel Army members went out to the parking lot, and we opened up a bottle of champagne. And so that was awesome. So we have that up there, and then there's also a bottle of whiskey, empty, now. But bottle of Angel's Envy from Louisville, because I want to say 2017, they gave us a bottle that had like engraved on it like Louisville versus Pittsburgh, 2017.
Yeah.
And since we won, we got the bottle of whiskey. So that was also
I
cool.
do miss the Louisville fans. Like the Indy fans I couldn't stand. And I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
stand Louisville the team, but their fans were awesome. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was going to be a whole thing. We're like, oh, we're going to do this new tradition where, like, if Louis wins, they give us bourbon, and if Pittsburgh, if Louis loses, they give us bourbon, and if they win, we give them rye whiskey to kind of like the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that'd be cool. And then, of course, we don't play them, so
Yeah, we're in different conferences.
yeah.
Well, could happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so it's just sitting there. Hopefully, in the future, we will officially have a bar that we can have some stuff at. I would love to actually have it displayed somewhere in public instead of me just having it in my house. But all that stuff can be, on a shelf at a bar would be the best solution.
I'm just picturing you with like white gloves, like it's the Stanley Cup. Like people can't like really touch it. You can get close to it, but
I don't know if you've seen that old guard shield. It's dented up to hell. It's been mailed a couple times, across country. So it's seen some better days, but it looks awesome. If anything, I think it looks cooler now. It has some like dents and scrapes to it.
For sure. It has some battle scars.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I guess the one other thing that I'll add, just from this game, Kev, you were sort of raving about Dixon, and I totally echo that. Part of me feels bad, and I don't know if this changes next season, assuming that they're back, but I would love to see Dixon have a more consistently attacking position. I feel like because he's such a utility, we often play him on wide right midfield, or sometimes he's a right wing back, or like, but clearly the talent is there, the nose for goal is there, and he's one of those players that you can't keep off the field. So like, yes, you need to get, Williamson up top, you need to get Cicerone up top. And then it's like, well, how do you build the rest of the squad? And then Dixon just sort of slots in wherever you need him. But yeah, I'd love to see
I think
him.
that works though. Right now.
I think it works, but I'm just saying it's one of those things that it's like, oof, like if he had a few more sniffs at goal because he wasn't further back, like what would that actually look like? So who knows? We'll find out. We won. Can't complain too much. But
I think the other thing too is it's been a while since I think you've explicitly praised Forbes.
Dixon. Oh, Forbes.
Forbes.
Yeah.
I feel like I just don't talk about him that much, and it felt like another like just normal Kenny great performance. I mean, Kenny hits 7 out of 10 every game. He's incredibly solid, and in this game in particular, I caught myself in one or two moments just thinking like, wow, yeah, he's a cut above a lot of other midfielders that we have. His composure and his vision. I think there was one ball where he caught it right in midfield, people all around him. He didn't have long to dwell on it, and he just picks a crossfield ball to Dixon, and he just lays it perfectly on his boot, and it just creates a chance. He's 35 yards out. He finds Dixon making a wide run, and just from that pass alone, he cuts out 3 Charleston defenders, and he puts Dixon in the box. No one else on our team can do that. Like that, no one else in our team can see that pass, and no one else in our team can execute that pass. And I think, yeah, I don't say it enough. How good he is, and I hope he can keep going. It's probably a conversation for another time, but it's in this game, especially with everyone feeling like they were finally starting to click, and me kind of thinking like it's taken this long to feel this comfortable with this system and this group of players or whatever, and the question of how we can try to retain these players for next season kind of comes into mind. But I'll kind of table that for now because I think that would keep us here for another 20 minutes.
Yeah, and we've got more important things to talk about, like worldwide news that we're going to be replaying 20 plus minutes in Miami. So for those who aren't aware, which I think probably if you're listening to the show, you know exactly what's going on. We were discussing last weekend about how the Hounds game against Miami last weekend ended in a 0-0 draw. There was a lot of controversy because Miami technically put the ball into their own net, so we should have been up 1-0. Ref got it wrong. Over the course of the week, Pro actually came out and said, "Yep, we got it wrong. Like, our bad," which was something we were saying, like, please just acknowledge it. And they acknowledged it. So, like, great. It's not great that they got the call wrong, but it's great that they acknowledged it. And then what was it? Thursday-ish? Tuffy started, sending the Steel Army into ToughCon 4 or 5, where he just starts tweeting out eyes, and so everybody knows something's coming. And it was announced that the Hounds on Wednesday at 7 p.m. will travel to Miami to play essentially from the moment the goal was scored. So we will go into the game up 1-0, and we will play whatever the final 20 plus minutes it takes to close out that game. So first question that I have to ask you guys is, I think we're all happy that it's happening, but should this happen? Is this setting a precedent of, like, it's going to open the door to all sorts of games where this happens? Or do we think that this is justifiably the right outcome to what happened last weekend? Josh, how are you feeling about this?
Yes, I'm happy it's happened. And yes, I think it's the right call. Because they make it very clear in the statement about what happened. It's not that they missed a call. It's not that they didn't see a handball or something like that. It's because they saw it and misapplied the rules to it. So they didn't miss anything. They actually saw it, knew what happened, and then applied the wrong rule to it. So that's not a situation where they missed anything. They misapplied the law of the game. And that's why it is being changed. So I feel like that's something that's getting lost in the shuffle here with a lot of commentaries, MLS commentaries. Stu Holden is shouting about it, and I think Taylor Twellman today is also shouting about it. But it's like,
is he really? I've avoided all national commentary on this.
Yeah. They're both like really up in arms about how this is opening up a worm hole. Like it's going to be a whole can of worms, and it's now everything's going to be challenged. It's like, no, it's literally just because the refs saw it and they applied the wrong rules to it. Yeah. And they made that clear. They said that in their statement. So, and it's happened before in the past. Like, this isn't the first time they've done this in soccer. So it's not even like unprecedented, which a lot of people keep on throwing that word around. It's like, no, it's not unprecedented. There's other cases where this has, happened. So it's not that big of a deal, but it doesn't happen often. And that's a good sign that it doesn't happen often.
Well, and also, like, the fact of something being unprecedented isn't a reason into itself to not do it.
No. It makes me laugh because they're all like, oh, this is gonna, slippery slope this, and it's gonna cause all these other issues. It's like literally not the first time it's happened, so it didn't cause a slippery slope then. It's not going to now. Chillax, like it's gonna be okay. But yeah, so I think it's the right decision. But I understand a lot of people are up in arms about it.
Kev, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I'm really interested to hear that kind of reflection on. I mean, I know Josh doesn't speak for all the commentary that's happening around it, but like, you're reflecting a little bit. I'm pretty fascinated. No, I mean, my personal feelings about it first and foremost. Yeah, I agree with Josh. I mean, I don't see what else they could have done. I mean, what they could have done is saying, yeah, we made a mistake, but oh well, sorry. We're calling it, but that's it. Move on. It's a draw. But yeah, if you're going to do any kind of retribution, I mean, this is the only thing you can't do. You can't award points. You can't call the game differently, and you can't really. There's no logic behind saying we'll just replay the entire game. So yeah, I mean, as far as kind of righting a wrong, yes, this makes sense. I think an interesting question might be if this was the first game of the season and this happened. I wonder if this would be the same outcome. But the fact that this is, there's so much around this is interesting. Or let's say it happened against Tampa versus Loudon or something. Would this be the same thing? I don't know if that was said in the statement at all. I haven't read it, but yeah, I mean, annoying that we have to go down there again. But the right thing, I think, is the right call. Slippery slope arguments are just kind of heinous and dumb. No one wants more games. Like, clubs don't want more games. Like, I think the only thing you could say is, like, now everyone's going to look for retribution for every wrong call made against them. But, like, that's...
I think
No.
where a lot of this comes from is it's financial. Like, somebody on Twitter was circulating some like back of the napkin type math, and they estimated that decision has the potential to cost the Hounds like $100,000 from like revenue from having a home game. And because of that, that's not something that you easily ignore. Like, that's a lot of money, and that's a very, very expensive mistake. And so you're right. I mean, we could sit here and say, like, the Hounds should have picked up the points in one of the other games this season when they lost to Miami, or, they lost to Charleston or whoever. Like, this shouldn't have even gotten down to this point. But the point is that we're, the last few games of the season, there is a microscope watching every single moment of these games because every single point counts. And so this is just sort of where we're at. Where I'm sort of torn is, let's say that this happened against, say it's Louisville versus Birmingham. Would I be like, yeah, it's the right call, go back and play the last 20 minutes? Or would I be like, come on, like, you made your bed, you need to just deal with it, stop whining, and like, yeah, it's the wrong call. So I just don't know. It's very difficult to take off that Hounds hat for this.
It is, but I do think there is something that's so specific about the call. This isn't a missed handball. This isn't a missed red card. This isn't a missed whatever. Like, this is such just an obvious misapplication of an interpretation of the rules, and so you can't. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for it. But I do like. This doesn't help the conversation, but I think it's an interesting thought exercise of parallel universe. What happens if we go on and score a goal in the 80th minute and we end up winning 1-0? Like, do we replay it in the 67th minute? And we're up 1-0 now, or or if Miami goes on and wins, we're having a huge, big different conversations that I think it gets a lot messier. And I think in a lot of ways, Pro and in the USL are quietly thankful that it ended up 0-0, and this is how it worked, because I think that'd be a harder call to make if either of these games, or if either of these teams ended up scoring after that.
It's like, I don't know. It's a situation where it's not like this is in the bag now, though. Like, we have to go back and we have to play 23 minutes of a match plus stoppage time. And who knows what's going to happen? Like, we could lose a point at this point. Like, they could win the game and we could be out a point, but at least it's the right application. And I don't know. I forget who I was talking to, but another thought experiment, Kevin, use your turn of phrases, that imagine what was it, the hand of God, the whole story in soccer, Maradona, World Cup, handballs the ball into the net and they win. I think they ended up winning 2-0, but they were leading 1-0 because of that. And this is a situation where imagine if they saw the handball, they blew the whistle, they said it was a handball, and then they go, okay, the rule is that it's a goal still, but he gets a yellow. It's no, that's the wrong call. That's not how it is. That's what this is. It's not that they missed the handball, it's that they saw the handball and they're like, oh, that's a goal. So it's
no, they actually,
the corner, that's it, let's get on with the game, I guess.
That's what they said. It's a corner.
Yeah, that's a corner. Yeah, we saw the handball. It's a corner.
Yeah.
So that's what happened, and that's completely different than missing a handball.
I was also just like complete side note. I was not expecting that every time the ref said that it was a corner that I would have flashbacks to that moment. So this game against the Battery, every time they said it was a corner, I would just flash back to Miami like, oh, here we go. So I might be
quick point
forever
too. I mean, like how this could be a point taken away. I mean, yeah. I mean, what a few weeks before that game, we're playing Miami in Miami. We're up 2-1, and we decide to sub on 5 defenders and just sit on it for the last 15 minutes, and we end up losing, right? No, it's not a gimme by any stretch. It's going to be tense. I mean, talking about mental kind of switches as well. I don't know if I ever said it on the show, but around that first Miami game, where we really need to start picking up points, I was kind of hinting at like in scenarios where we had something to lose and we had to protect it, and we were kind of trying to keep everyone in big moments and big games, we didn't really show up. And if that's the case, and if you also accept the kind of flip side of that in the past few weeks where, all right, now we're chasing something, our destiny isn't in our hands, and we have to, we're not at the bottom of the table, but we're at the bottom of the table looking up, trying to pass people ahead of us. We play really well, and we beat Tampa, and we get that we play as well as we did in Miami, and we beat Charleston, and and all of this. So now that it feels like momentum is kind of switched back in our hands, we're going down to Miami, we're up 1-0, and there's 20 minutes left in the game. Yeah, it's gonna be tense.
Has anyone seen how do you get tickets for this game? Like, do they charge you a third of the price, or if you had a ticket for the last game, do you just get to come back for free, or
they should just open the doors?
Yeah, like it should be a free, like a scrimmage type of situation where you want to come watch the 20-some minutes of game, cool. But if not, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's open to the public. Like I would assume that
it's going to be on ESPN, so it's going to be on TV. But
yeah,
because this isn't even something where Miami's losing out on revenue because they played the game.
Right.
They're double dipping at this point.
Double dipping.
You're welcome, Miami.
That's right. Yeah, there's that. Yeah. Yeah, Josh, you mentioned how this isn't sort of a gimme about playoffs, home field, all of that. Looking at the standings, just to sort of paint a picture of where we're at. So I did the math. We are currently sitting on 55 points, and that includes the 1 point that we got at Miami. So they are still including that point as if that game was played and finished. So if we win in Miami on Wednesday, we will basically just get 2 more points added to our total. We will not get 3. So that makes things a little bit interesting because, basically it looks like Charlotte has a game in hand on us. That's sort of kind of the case. Charlotte plays on Wednesday night, and then they play Saturday night, just like we play on Wednesday night, and then Saturday night, and then we're both done. So if Charlotte wins out, they will get 6 points. If we win out, we get 5 points. So
according to this table that we're looking at, yeah.
Well, no, that is the way it's going to shake out.
Seriously?
So Charlotte has their own fate in their hands. If they win out,
Yes.
they will keep second place. We need Charlotte to drop points in one of these 2 games. They need to lose.
Can they draw?
If they draw, then we win out, then we will beat them by 1 point to second place.
Seriously?
So, yes, they will get 4 points and we will have 5 points. So this is literally, this is literally a do or die kind of thing. It starts on Wednesday. If we don't pick up 2 more points against Miami, then it's pretty much forget it, because then that just paves the way for the Independents to get second. The interesting thing is that Charlotte, now they are playing Loudoun on Wednesday, which you can pretty much just assume that's
Loudoun beat us and Tampa. So,
and listen, that game is at 5:30 on Wednesday, which Loudoun, that's how that works. So we'll have a sense of whether or not they picked up 3 points before or right around when our game is kicking off in Miami, and we'll get a sense there. The interesting thing is that Austin on Saturday Austin is still not out of the playoff picture yet. They are below the line and they are battling, and that could change by this weekend. But there's a chance that Austin desperately is going to need points, whether it's 1 point or 3 points. And if it's 1 point and Austin can park the bus for an entire game and keep the Independents from scoring, that favors these guys. So it's like a big 6 days here, guys.
I feel like I'm you right now, Mike. But let's say we beat Miami and Charlotte beat Loudoun.
Yep.
Going in the last game of the season.
Yep.
What do you think our odds are at finishing above Charlotte?
Boy, at that point, I think that our odds are better than not, because I think that our the chance of us beating Hartford is going to be better than the chance of the Independents getting all 3 points from Austin.
And we just see that Harry in the chat says Austin has a great defense. Heck yeah.
That's right. Our buddy Harry, who is very familiar with Austin, says they play a very tough defense. So, yeah.
It's definitely going to be harder for Charlotte going to Austin. That's a long trip. That's a pretty big away trip, going out of conference, traveling all that way, and playing a team that hopefully, I really hope, I haven't really looked at how it's going to shake out, but that if they're playing for something, like that's a lot to play for. Austin's playing to get into the playoffs, whereas they're playing for a home playoff game, which is good, but it's not the same as, your season's ending if you don't win this game. So it's definitely going to be a lot to play for Austin. So I expect it to be a hard game. But I still hate the fact that we don't have our own, our fate in our hands, that we have to rely on Charlotte dropping points. It had to be Charlotte too.
Yeah.
Had to be.
Yeah.
What do you guys think if you're the manager of the Hounds? What do you do on Wednesday? Do you essentially well, here's the other question. I mean, based on the rules, do we have to play the same lineup from the 67th minute with the same number of subs and everything? That'd be a good question.
I think we do. I think barring injuries and all that jazz, I think it's they want us to be the same. But just going back real fast, going back to what Harry's saying, Austin in the chat, pull up the whole thing about the last game, likely the last game in Austin, because the rumor is that they're going to move to Fort Worth.
Yeah.
So this very well could be the very last game in Austin. And if you don't think the team, is going to show up to that, like that, you have to show up to that. Like that has to be like, the biggest game in the, I won't want to say the history of the Austin team, but kind of, it's the most important game. It's the last game. So, or everyone's checked out and they're like, whatever. One of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it'll be very interesting. And then I want to get back to this Miami game. We're sort of bouncing back and forth. But that game doesn't kick off until later on Saturday. I wonder if we could get the Hounds to put that game up on the Jumbotron. So as soon as the Hounds game is over, anybody who wants to stay and watch the Independence game versus Austin and celebrate potential second place home playoff match with the team, that'd be pretty cool. Tuffy, you don't have to pay me for those royalties. You can just go ahead and take that. That one's for you. You just go ahead and do that.
He's thinking the opposite right now. He's going to have to pay staff to sit around and wait for these jagoffs to leave the stadium.
Plus, the game would go up and Lily would still have the team on the field.
That's right.
So,
get Lily on the mic and have him do his own commentary about the game. And it's just like breaking down game footage live.
I love Lily, but he wouldn't be able to keep up. He would talk so long and detailed about one moment that happened 15 minutes ago.
I wonder what it is like having Lily break down game tape. Like I want to know how many times you have to rewatch the same 5-second snippet over and over again.
It takes all week to get through one game. It's just all right, we're going to spend 2 hours and whatever we get through, then that's what we get through. And
on this back pass.
it will be very interesting to see how we come out against Miami, because I think that the assumption is you're up 1-0, so you go in and you hold 1-0. But how awesome would it be if we go out in the first 5 minutes, we score a second, and just immediately take it to them?
Well, I mean, we've tried this before in Miami too. We've tried just like parking the bus. This parking the bus doesn't work with us, and it doesn't work, in very early memory away at Miami. Yep. And so it's going to feel really weird to be up 1-0, knowing we need a win, and to go out to attack for 20 minutes. I feel like that's kind of what we need to do. But the whole we want you to play the same lineup. I mean, come on. There are so many ways around that. Sorry, Wharton got a twisted ankle in training, and we just have to play Peters in his position. It's just
Wharton got COVID.
Yeah,
you couldn't bring him.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. It's very legit that it could be a situation. Looking at previous games with Miami, though, it looks pretty good for us. In most of these games, Miami, the first time they score is the 52nd minute. The one was the 57th minute. So in our past, they've not scored early against us, and technically this will be early in the match. 20, I know we're starting at the whatever minute, but we're only playing 3 minutes or 28 minutes, 23. I can't remember now.
23, yeah.
Yeah, 23 minutes. So that could be good.
I mean, I guess the other question is too, does Miami care about this game? Clearly we care. We need the points, but it doesn't look like there's any. I mean, I guess there is a way. If we lose and Charlotte lose their next two, then Miami could leapfrog us and get second place. But
so yeah, you have to care then. You have to care if you could get a home playoff game.
Yeah. So Miami has to care. My thought was, are they more worried about we got one more game. Let's make sure nobody gets injured. We've got third or fourth. And so it doesn't really matter, but no, it does matter. So, oh boy. Well,
and plus you don't want fourth place if you can avoid it, because if you got fourth place, you are playing the number one seed in whatever.
Either Louisville or Birmingham,
It feels like Louisville and Birmingham might be kind of a toss-up. I mean, I haven't watched either team closely this season. I mean, but just by the numbers, they're extremely close to each other. But
yeah. Well, guys, let's do a score predict. We got 2 games. Let's do a score prediction. Josh, in the 20+ minute game in Miami, what do you think the final score will be?
2-0 Hounds.
2-0 Hounds. Kev?
It's going to be near heart attacks. I think it's going to stay 1-0.
I really, really hope it's 2-0. I hope we come out and score early, and then we all just go, but I'm worried that you're right, Kev. I think it's going to be a heart attack, and it's going to be 1-0. And
I don't think it's going to be dull either. I think we're going to hit the post. I think they're going to hit the post. I think it's going to be missed pens. I think it's going to be everything. It's going to.
Because look, you're not playing a full game. It's go out there and run for
full throttle,
sprint for 20 minutes. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy game.
And Miami has nothing to lose. I mean, they need to score. So
yep, they're going to bring it. Yeah.
It's going to be
all right.
This is truly a unique experience. I have never, and probably will never watch a soccer game like this again.
Yeah, that's why we're having a watch party at Bulldog Pub.
I was just gonna say,
yep,
do you want to do a plug now? Yeah.
We're gonna be. So I don't know if you guys saw the text message I sent to Jesse. He's the owner of Bulldog Pub. I was like, hey, how are you down for the shortest watch party in history? It's I explained the whole situation. I don't know if he already knew the situation because he does follow the Hounds. So, but I was like, so are you cool with this? He's like, explicit of, yeah, let's do this. And so all right, we're doing this. And so, yeah, we're going to be there for a short watch party. I might show up a little bit early, maybe see if I can have him throw on the other game. Was it Charlotte's game?
Independence against Loudoun.
Yeah, just to watch a little bit of that, the tail end of that, just see how that's going. But yeah, it'll be good. And I've talked about Bulldog before, that they have great food. It's a cool place. Come watch the shortest watch party in history, the shortest game in Hounds history, and it will also be probably the only time we've ever have this happen, like Kevin was saying. So watch history be made.
I feel like the entire experience needs to like scale with the moment. So you have to go like from beer down to shots. You have to go to like cake down to cupcake. You have to like everything. It's just like, full throttle, high
burgers
concentration.
to sliders.
Exactly.
Sliders.
Everything is just
smaller.
Tapas plates or something like that.
I feel like there's a whole marketing opportunity there. Like you could totally take advantage of this. All right.
Apparently, that's some of the proposals pitched by like UEFA and like Real Madrid like people. They're like they want to make games like shorter, and they want to like have it like more digestible for the youth culture because 90 minutes is too long. Kids can't sit through 90 minutes. I'm like, why should 90 minutes? But apparently, that's a legitimate thing. Anyway.
Oof. All right, so we're all saying the Hounds win, whether it's a nervy or not, on Wednesday. That takes to Hartford. Okay, hold on. Let me just are any of us picking a Hounds loss at this point? Or are we all just like hard on the sleeve saying we're going to beat Hartford? It doesn't matter.
I think there's varying tones of wins. I think it's going to be tight in Hartford again, or against Hartford at Pittsburgh.
Hartford are frauds. Hartford are frauds. They're not a good team. They've been pretending to be a good team this whole time. We've all believed they're a good team. I said on Twitter that I'm their biggest fan. I'm ready for them to beat Charlotte, and they didn't. So you know what? Hartford are frauds.
So you think it's going to be a blowout, Josh?
Yeah. Last, regular season game, Highmark Stadium. It might be a crappy weather game. I'm warning you right now. The weather for that game is not looking great.
It's the end of the season. That's where we're at. Yeah.
Yep. I would rather this one be cold and rainy than the first home playoff game be cold and rainy again. That was a fun game, but man, that was miserable weather.
Yeah. Okay, so we're saying 2 wins, and so then it just comes down to we're all going to be anxiously rooting for the Austin Bold come Saturday, assuming Loudon doesn't just Loudon beat us and Miami, so they got to take down somebody else in this division. So no, they beat Miami. They might have beat Tampa too, but they definitely beat Miami.
Yeah, they only have a couple wins, so I mean, it's possible that those were the 3.
Yeah, they just took down the.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was gonna say in that case they have 4 wins. How awesome would it be if their 4 wins were against the top 4 teams in the division?
Yeah, their record is 4 wins, 23 losses. Wow. Come on.
They have a negative 43 goal differential.
Go big or go home. All right.
Oh man.
Oh, never mind. They beat New Mexico United. That doesn't count.
That's a bummer.
And they beat Miami, but
yeah. Us, Miami, New Mexico, and some other team. Well, guys, watch party on Wednesday, game at Highmark on Saturday, 7 p.m. Anything else we want to say before this chaos tornado just descends on us for the next few days?
Oh, the game against Hartford. It's going to be the 30th, so it's going to be our Halloween game. So we decided at Steel Army we're dressing up for Halloween for the game. So
of course,
wear a costume to the game. You probably can't wear a mask. I don't know the rules now at Highmark, but yeah, don't wear a mask. It's probably a bad idea. But wear a costume.
Yeah, I like it. All right,
what a roller coaster!
I
went from thinking like no, we're not gonna make it. We're gonna lose in the first round of the playoffs to now thinking we're probably more likely to get a home playoff game than not. And if that happens, anything can happen and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, let's see.
Yeah. We always get to this point in the season where it's just guys, where'd the season go? It's all of a sudden it's over and we're talking playoffs and then it's one and done. And then we're figuring out who we're going to interview in the off season based on who the Hounds decide to re-sign. So, exciting times.
I think we're 2 interviews. Can't wait.
That's right.
I think we're in as a fan perspective. I think this is a great place to be in. I mean, this is what we're in it for, right? In a I mean, this is a lie, but in a weird way, I almost prefer this than like where Tampa's at right now. Like, because it's like if you're a fan, if you're like a Tampa fan, you're like, okay, like just twiddling your thumbs to the playoffs. Like, let's see who we get, and then like it'll be. Obviously, it's not that bad. Like, I'm sure they're loving it, but like, this is wild. Like, to be in the center of all of this, to have 2 games where you need, you probably need to win. Pressure's on. It's exciting. And, home playoff game on the line. If we get over the line and we get a home playoff game, can you imagine the atmosphere at Highmark after all of this? I mean, the atmosphere would have been incredible anyway. But to have all this extra like added controversy and context around it, geez, like.
You know who's not tweeting about Tampa Bay? Tara Twellman, just saying.
I was going to say, you can't buy this kind of publicity. This is great.
This is better than being in the news because of, a kick to the back. So, I'm pretty happy about this situation.
When did that happen? What? Who are we talking about?
Yeah.
Never.
The Hounds always make national news for good reasons.
Okay. All right.
But by those numbers, we should be the most listened to second-tier soccer podcast this week, right? Everyone should be listening to us.
That's right. Yep. Carson Daly, man. Carson Daly. Anything else you guys have for this one? All right. Let's wrap it up. Guys, we need I was going to say 6 points. We need 5 points. We can't get 6 points. We need 5 points out of 2 games, which is also impossible unless you're in this scenario. So that's cool. 5 points from 2 games this week. I think, like I said, we're all going to be anxiously watching our televisions on both Wednesday and Saturday to, see what happens with the independents.
So I just can't let that go. Why don't you just wipe the game out and just say you're at 30, we subtract the point? Is this too hard for them to update their database? Like some guy is like, no, I can't send a query to the database. I can't do this. I'm not doing this. I'll just update it if they win.
No one's watching. It's fine. Don't worry about it. No one's looking at the table. We're US. We're fine. USL. We're fine.
Kev, it wouldn't impact the end result anyway. We'd still. Yeah.
No, I know, but this whole so we actually have a point, even though we're playing. It's so dumb. Just say no. This is a new game. That's 23 minutes, and let's see how it shakes out. It's so dumb.
All right, thanks for everybody for listening and watching.
The guy who's maintaining the database is just please, Miami, just score a goal and have this be a draw, so I don't have to update the points total for each.
The corner, that's it. Let's get on with the game.
Oh, man. Hey, this is your weekly reminder that Black Lives Matter. Thanks to Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to USL, MLS, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. Tired of the same old cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Looking for a unique, completely custom kit for your youth club, Sunday League squad, adult, or even pro team? Icarus FC can help you create the kit of your dreams at an affordable price. Let them help you design your new custom kit today at IcarusFC.com. Looking for more great USL news? Head over to bgn.fm, where we now got over 100 fans that are writing and podcasting about the beautiful game. Lots of great features that go up on the site every single week. Check them out at bgn.fm. Otherwise, thanks everybody. We will talk to you very, very soon.
Cheers.
Later.